Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Lucas and welcome back to the show. Today, well, we're picking my March Madness bracket. Obviously, it's pretty obvious because we are on the March Madness brackets. But I kind of wanted to go through it and not only, obviously explain my picks to you guys and talk about it out, but maybe figure out if I, mess something up and all that fun stuff because Lord knows I've probably made some wrong picks. Now, to start off, we're just going to go ahead and hop right into it with the first matchup. It's Gonzaga versus Norfolk State, or I don't remember who replaced Appalachian State, but I believe Appalachian State is being replaced. Either way, we all know who's going to win this matchup. There's no chance that Gonzaga ever loses this first round matchup. I can tell you that with 100% certainty. Moving on to the next one, probably the hardest games to predict, the 8-9s. I'm going to go with Oklahoma. I've been going back and forth a lot on this one. I think both teams are solid. Both teams have been good. Both teams have also struggled. And you really just have to pick the best of the two. And I went ahead and picked Oklahoma. Next up, we got UCSB versus Creighton. This one's a tough one as well. I think UCSB could definitely beat Creighton. I don't really like anyone from the Big East. In fact, I don't like anyone from the Big East. Mostly because I think every one of those teams have not been very good. Villanova is hurt. So it is tough, but I'm going to go ahead and pick Creighton to win this game. I also just don't really like UCSB. After looking through, they haven't really done anything. They haven't been that good. They haven't even played anyone with a top 75 net. And I just don't see them beating Creighton. I think they do make it through. But that being said, I do not like Creighton whatsoever. Moving on to the next game, we got Virginia and Ohio. I really want to pick Ohio. Say this straight up, I really want to pick Ohio. I really like Jason Preston. I've seen him play. He's really good, averaging 16, 7, and 7 on the season. If there's one guy not named Cade that can carry his team to a miracle run, it is Jason Preston. And I mean that. That being said, I think Virginia is just the better team here. I just think Virginia overall is the better team, and I don't think they're going to lose to Ohio. That being said, that is one game to definitely watch, and I think it could be very close. Moving on here, Wichita State and Drake. I kind of like both these teams. I think they're both okay. I kind of like Drake a little bit more. They're getting their best player, they're getting a big player back as well. But I just like USC, Evan Mobley down low. I think he's going to dominate this game, and I think no matter whether it's Wichita State or Drake, I don't think they end up beating USC. Next up, we got Eastern Washington and Kansas. And again, it's just one of those games where you kind of go with the higher seed. I believe in Kansas. I like their team this year. I think they have a really good team. And I think they aren't going to lose to Eastern Washington. Next up is another tough game to predict, VCU and Oregon. Overall, I just like Oregon just that little bit better. I like how they play. I like their defensive scheme. You look at it like this. They're very hot right now. They are coming in very hot. But before they lost to Oregon State, they'd won 11 of 12. They've been very hot, and I think they continue that streak and take down VCU. And next game, I'm also going to pick Iowa. Again, just like Iowa, I think Luka Garza will keep that team from being upset by 15. The 116, Baylor versus Hartford. I believe in Baylor. That simple. I think Baylor's got a really good team this year and one that should contend for a championship. Next up, we got Wisconsin and North Carolina. I just don't like Wisconsin. It's not that I like North Carolina. I don't think they have as good of a team as they have in years past. But I just really don't like Wisconsin. They haven't really done anything to prove that they are good enough to beat a big team. They haven't beat anyone better than them in the Big Ten. So because of that, I'm going to go with North Carolina there. Next matchup here, we got Winthrop and Villanova. Obviously, Villanova just lost one of their key players in their point guard. And Winthrop has lost one game this year. They've lost one game this year. They've won games they should. I think if there's an upset here to pick, I think it is this one. That being said, I still believe Villanova could make a run for the championship because it's Villanova. It's Jay Wright. But I believe because of the injury, I'm going to go ahead and pick Winthrop. But again, it is kind of a risky pick because Villanova's still a really good team. And it's not an easy upset pick, but it's one that I'm going to go ahead and go with. Next up is Purdue versus North Texas. This team looks really good. I don't think they're the best team in the Big Ten, but they played very well with all these top Big Ten teams. And there are there's two of them that are 1 seeds. So I think Purdue will at least win the first round. I don't think they'll choke that hard. But, it's Purdue. You never know. So next up we have Texas Tech and Utah State. Again, just like Texas Tech, I don't think they'll lose in the first round. Utah State is not a great team. In fact, I think they were the last team in. And I think because of that, I don't think they'll beat Texas Tech. Next up, we have one of the games that a lot of people are picking to upset here. And that is Colgate taking down Arkansas. Now, not in Yahoo, but you look at someone like ESPN. In fact, I'll go and pull it up right now. On ESPN, almost 40% of people are picking Colgate to win this matchup. And in a 314, that is a big number. That is a big number of people picking this upset. And while I think Colgate's got a pretty solid team and maybe they should have been higher than a 14, I just really like what Arkansas's got going on over there. They've got a really good team. They've been inconsistent at times, but they've been really good down the stretch, obviously winning 12 of their last 13. And I know they lost to LSU, but LSU's a good team, and I really like Arkansas here to take this matchup against Colgate. Again, it's one of those matchups that people have been talking about, and for good reason. It's because it's going to be a high-scoring, high-flying game. But again, you look at Colgate, they also haven't played anyone in the top 75. So how is that offense? Are we sure that offense is going to hold up against Arkansas? It may not, but I just really like Arkansas, and I think they'll take down Colgate there. Next up, we got Virginia Tech and Florida. Florida's been really inconsistent this year. They've not been great down the stretch. And because of that, I'm going to go ahead and pick Virginia Tech. Again, not a great team either, but they've played well, and I think they will take down Florida. And actually, if you look at it, Virginia Tech is 4-0 against top 25 teams, but they've also had a lot of bad losses. But I think they will take down Florida here, like I said, just because I think Florida has been very inconsistent. And with the Ohio State Oral Roberts, you never pick a 15-2, you never pick a 1-6, or you never pick a 16 to beat a 1, you never pick a 2 to beat a 15. So you never pick a 15 to beat a 2. It's what I meant to say, I swear to God. Moving over here, again, pick Michigan to beat the 16 seed, whoever it may be. I know they lost Isaiah Livers, but I don't think that's going to be a big enough problem for them to lose in the first round. Next up, we got St. Bonaventure versus LSU. Again, 8-9 matchups, not easy to predict, and I think this could go either way. But I'm going to go ahead and go and believe in the talent of LSU. I think they have just a slightly better team, and I think they will take that 8-9 matchup. But again, it could go either way for sure. Next up, we have Georgetown and Colorado. I know Georgetown is on a hot streak right now. I know a lot of people like Georgetown in this matchup, but I don't think I'm going to pick them. I'm going to go ahead and pick Colorado. Like I said, another team that I really like in this tournament, one that could go far, and I don't think they're going to lose to Georgetown, but definitely an upset alert right here out of 5-12. Next up, we have NC Greensboro versus Florida State. Florida State has lost a couple of very questionable games, in the recent past, one being to Notre Dame, and I would not be shocked at all to see them lose to NC Greensboro here. But you look at Florida State, they just have too much talent on this team to lose, and I'm gonna have to pick Florida State here. Like I said, I think they just have too much talent. Next up is BYU versus Michigan State or UCLA. I'm gonna pick Michigan State to win that first 4 game, but honestly, whether Michigan State or UCLA win, I think they're going to take down BYU. BYU is another team that I think are rated just a little bit too highly. I don't think that they are actually as good as their seed. And honestly, you look at someone like Michigan State, who's just been on fire recently, taking down some big teams in the Big Ten. I think this is a team that could scare a lot of teams and actually also have a chance to make a miracle run. If there's one team one double-digit seed to watch out for to make this miracle Cinderella run, I would go with Michigan State. They're definitely a team to watch out for. That being said, I still will pick UCLA if they were to beat Michigan State, just to go with the hot hand there. And I like I said, I just don't like BYU that much. Next up, we have Texas versus Abilene Christian. I really like Texas. They got my boy Kai Jones, and if you watch Supersonics Rebuild, you know they got my boy Kai Jones. I like that team, and I think that they are going to make a push to win, at least win this game, at the very least. Next up, we have Maryland and Connecticut, another game that could really go either way. And I also really went back and forth at this, but I really like Maryland here to take them down. They did beat Illinois. I just think they're the better team here. Again, you just got to go with the team you think is better. And in my opinion, I think that's Maryland. But, like I said, it could definitely go either way. And then the final matchup in the East will go to Alabama. Whoa, Alabama. Finally, in the first round, we move over to the Midwest. First game, Illinois Drexel. Illinois is one of the best, if not the best team in the tournament right now. You can't pick them to lose this one. Next game, Georgia Tech versus Loyola. Again, 8-9, very tough. I like Georgia Tech, and I like both these teams. I think if they were on the East, I think either team could win and honestly have a really good shot at beating Michigan. But I have to go with Loyola. They've proven that they can make runs in the tournament, that they can win in the tournament. I'm going to stick with them, but like I said, it could go either way. And honestly, I think either one of these teams could definitely give Illinois just a slight scare. I don't think they will, but just a slight one. Next up, we have Oregon State, Tennessee. I really like Oregon State. Another double-digit seed to watch out for that also could make a big run and pull off a couple of big upsets. And while Tennessee, they have my boy Keon Johnson, I like Oregon State too much. They made a big run in the Pac-12 to win the championship, and they've been on fire even before that tournament. They have just been winning and winning. Unlike Georgetown, who stumbled in and somehow managed to win the ACC, Oregon State was going off in the Pac-12 and came in and won the tournament, and I think they'll take down Tennessee in the 5-12 upset. Next, we're looking at Liberty, Oklahoma State. I think Liberty is an underrated team. I think that they will probably put up a fight, but Oklahoma State's got Cade. I think Cade is going to push this team, and when you have someone like Cade, that one player alone could push a team into a Final Four bid. You know what I'm saying? So I think that alone is good enough to make that pick right there. Next, we have another big upset alert right here, San Diego State versus Syracuse. I know there are a lot of people picking Syracuse, but San Diego State has one of the best defenses this year, if not the best defense. And I'm going to go ahead and pick San Diego State. I'm going to trust the defense. I like Syracuse, and I think this is definitely a potential upset, but I'm going to stick with the defensive ability and pick San Diego State here. Next, I'm going to pick West Virginia. I think they're a really good team as well. And I just don't really like Morehead State to pull off this upset. Next, we have the Rutgers and Clemson matchup. Also another one that could go either way. It's very close. It's why it's a 7-10. I'm going to go with Clemson here. Like I said, another one that I went back and forth on just thinking, and I wasn't really sure. But I trust Rutgers. I trust Clemson. I don't trust Rutgers. I think they're just a little bit too inconsistent for my liking. But like I said, it could go either way. Finally, we're picking Houston in the Midwest. Next, we're going to go move into the second round of the West. Again, another easy pick. I like Gonzaga. Gonzaga's a really good team. And another easy pick, Virginia over Creighton. I've already talked about it. I don't really like anyone from the Big East, and I definitely don't like Creighton. And I don't think they're going to take down Virginia, who I also think is a very good team. And honestly, I think Virginia wins the ACC tournament if they don't get pulled. So, now, that being said, one thing to watch out for when you're filling out your bracket is Virginia did have a COVID scare. So, I'm assuming they come out with their strongest team when I'm making this bracket. I'm assuming that with everyone, including Kansas. But things could change down the road. And if they do, that probably changes this, you know? Who knows? If it does change drastically, I think Ohio wins, and Ohio would probably beat Creighton, and there would be a 13 here in the Sweet 16. So it's just something to watch out for. Next, we have USC versus Kansas. I really like USC, and I think if they beat Kansas, they will definitely beat Iowa in the next round. But I like Kansas just to take this matchup, right? I think USC has a great matchup against Iowa, but I just think Kansas is just that little bit better. It's like I said, this was definitely one that I was going back and forth on, and I wanted to pick USC, but I also wanted to pick Kansas. And really, what it came down to at the last thought was that USC has been a little bit too inconsistent, and Kansas is turning it on at the right time. Again, it's another thing to look out for. Another team that was forced to pull from their conference tournament because of COVID. But assuming they get there and they get healthy, I think they will take this matchup. Next is Oregon and Iowa, and don't get me wrong, I like Iowa. I think they have a really good team. I really think Luka Garza is very good. But this is one I've been thinking about back and forth, as I've been saying. It's just I like Oregon. I like the defense they run. I like the way they're playing. They're turning it on at the right time. And I think this is definitely potential to be a big upset. However, I just think Iowa's just a little bit too good, and I think they'll take this game. But I think it'll be very close, and I think Oregon will definitely put up a very good fight. Next, we're going to go ahead and move down to the East, keeping you guys on your toes. Michigan versus LSU. I think this game will be pretty close. I think LSU has a good enough talent to make a push at Michigan, but I think Michigan will hold on here, and I think it'll be a close game, but I think Michigan will hold on. Next is a big game here, Colorado versus Florida State, but I just think Florida State has lost a couple of very questionable games, including Georgia Tech in the ACC Championship and Notre Dame. They got run by Notre Dame right before the ACC tournament. And I just don't like those kind of inconsistencies, especially down the stretch. So I'm going to go with Colorado, another team that I like to make a run that people don't really expect from them. But I think they have a really solid team, a very good and veteran team to make a run into this tournament. Next up, we have Michigan State / UCLA. I'm not really sure which one. I'm assuming Michigan State versus Texas. Again, I like Texas. I like that team. Kai Jones, still my guy at heart. And I think they'll take down Michigan State or UCLA. That team is just really good. They have a really good coach in Shaka Smart. It's a solid team, and I think they'll make the Sweet 16. Next up, we have Alabama, Maryland. I thought about picking an upset here, but Alabama is another team that I like that have been playing very well, especially down the stretch. And I think they'll take down Maryland. And I think they'll probably take them down with ease, but like I said, probably. Next, we're going to move back up into the South region. Again, Baylor, the one seeds are very good this year, and I think Baylor is no different. I think they'll take down North Carolina, and I think they'll do it pretty easily. That being said, never count out the Tar Heels. They have a great team. They have a great program over there, and they could definitely make a surprise run in the tournament. Next up, we have Winthrop and Purdue. Again, I think this Purdue team is different. I think they have a team to make a run into the Sweet 16, and I don't think they'll lose to Winthrop. I think if Villanova can make it out of the first round, I kind of like Villanova here, but I don't think they will. And because of that, I think I'm going to go ahead and pick Purdue. Next up, we have Arkansas and Texas Tech. Again, Arkansas is just a very good team, very good defensively. They have a fun defensive strategy. Texas Tech has been very, very, very inconsistent this year, and I think that'll catch up to them against a good Arkansas team. Finally, we have Ohio State versus Virginia Tech. I know Ohio State has been stumbling. They stumbled down the stretch of this year, but they did pick it back up in the conference tournament, so I'm going to go ahead and pick Ohio State to win and make the Sweet 16 as well. And move down into the final region with the Midwest, Illinois versus Loyola. I really like Loyola. Like I said, I think they're a team that have a potential to beat Illinois here. And I think it'll be close. I just like Illinois. I like that team. And I think they will take down Loyola. Next, we have Oregon State and Oklahoma State. I've said this before. I really like Oregon State. I like that team. I like the way they're playing right now. But I have to go with Cade Cunningham here. I think if they play almost any other 4 seed, honestly, if they were in a different region and they were playing Purdue or Florida State, I honestly would pick Oregon State here. But I like Oklahoma State. I like Cade, and I think as long as he stays healthy, I think they'll make a run to the Sweet 16. Next up, we have San Diego State versus West Virginia. Definitely a grit and grind type of game. A very defensive game is what I kind of look. A very defensive front game, and I think I am gonna go with the better defensive team in my opinion. That's San Diego State. Like I've been saying, I think San Diego State is probably the best defensive team in the tournament, and I don't think that changes against West Virginia. Now, one kind of worry about San Diego State that I have is that they aren't very well proven. But I think they have the talent and the defense to get it done and make a run for that Sweet 16. Finally, the last game in the Sweet 16 is Clemson versus Houston. This is another game that definitely has a big potential for an upset. But I like Houston here. I think they'll take it. I just don't think Clemson has enough talent to get this one done. Again, Houston, another very good defensive team. And while they haven't proven themselves a lot, they have dominated the teams they've played against. And I expect them to make a run for the Sweet 16 as well. Finally, we're moving into the Sweet 16 games. First game, Gonzaga versus Virginia. Virginia's already got beat by them badly the first time, and I think Gonzaga takes it again. I think Gonzaga makes the run into the Elite Eight and makes it look very easy in the process. Next up, we have Kansas and Iowa. This one's one that I thought a lot about. I thought really hard. I looked into different matchups and who I thought was going to take it, and I went ahead and picked Kansas. Iowa has struggled against some teams in the Big Ten, including Indiana, and I think because of that, they kind of worry me a little bit, and I think unfortunately they face their demise in the Sweet 16 and can't make the Elite Eight. Next, we're going to move over to the South here. Like I said, I like Baylor. I've been saying it the whole time, and I think there's nothing different here. I think they take down Purdue, and I like Purdue, and I think they'll actually put up a pretty solid fight. I think Baylor makes it look. I think Baylor takes it, moves in the Elite Eight. And this is another one that I was thinking hard about, and I know Ohio State just made a big run in the conference tournament, the Big Ten conference tournament, but they were struggling down the stretch, and I can't help but think Arkansas is the team with a lot of momentum here. And I'm going to pick Arkansas to make the Elite Eight against Baylor. Down here we have Colorado and Michigan, and this is what I was talking about, where I think the loss of Isaiah Livers is going to hurt them, and I think because of that, Colorado will take that game and move into the Elite Eight. In my opinion, shocking a lot of people, because this is a team that not a lot of people talked about before the tournament, and I think they're a solid, well-rounded, and very good team, and I think they make a move, and I think they take down Michigan. And honestly, I don't see a route where Michigan makes it past the Sweet 16. I think maybe if Georgetown or NC Greensboro makes the upset there, I think they can. But if it's Colorado or Florida State, I know I was just hating on Florida State and their inconsistency, but I just think talent-wise, they'd be so much better than Michigan. And I think that loss of Isaiah Livers is probably going to be the biggest loss, at least as of now, in this tournament. Next, we have Texas-Alabama, and as I've been saying for the other 3-2 matchups, this is another one that I've been going back and forth on. And I like Alabama. I like their team. I like the way they're coached. But I just think Texas has all the talent in the world right now, and I think they'll take down Alabama here in the Sweet 16 matchup. Finally, move into the Midwest, Illinois versus Oklahoma State. This is a tough one because I think Illinois is a very good team. I think Cade is going to go off in the tournament, and I think because of Cade Cunningham, I think Oklahoma State pulls off the amazing upset here, beats Illinois, and moves into the Elite Eight. Like I said, I think it's a tough one to pick, but I'm going to go with the star here and pick Cade. Finally, move Yeah, finally move into the last matchup, San Diego State versus Houston. And I think San Diego State, finally, their defense can't hold them. Houston has been an amazing offensive team. They've been a very, very good defensive team as well. And I think they're just a better version of San Diego State. And I think Houston takes this and moves on into the Elite Eight as well. We're finally moving into the Elite Eight matchups here. We got Gonzaga versus Kansas. I just think Gonzaga, they just steamroll their way to the Final Four. I just don't see anyone in this whole region that can beat Gonzaga, right? I just don't think there's anyone here. I think Gonzaga just has an amazing team right now, and one that I don't think they lose. One that I don't think loses here in this West region, and I think they make the Final Four. Next, we have Baylor, Arkansas, and kind of similar. I think Arkansas or Ohio State could take down Baylor. Maybe Villanova or North Carolina, they could outcoach Baylor. But I think Baylor's just another team you're looking at where they're very good, and they're going to be a tough team to beat. And I don't think they lose. I don't think they lose here. The next two Elite Eight games, I've been talking up Colorado this whole time, but I think Texas just has too much talent. I think the talent of Texas will finally take down Colorado, but I don't think it cuts short what Colorado does in this tournament here. I like Texas. I like them a lot. Like I said, they got my boy Kai Jones. They have my heart, and I think they make the Final Four. And finally, move Oklahoma State and Houston. I love Cade, but I think the defense of Houston can shut down Cade and get this team into the Final Four. Now, I'm not saying they only have Cade. Oklahoma State has a lot of good players. But I think the defense of Houston being able to stop Cade, plus the offense of that team, I think they make a run at the Final Four. Honestly, they're a team that I haven't seen people pick to make this kind of run. I don't think people expect it. But I think this Houston team is better than people are giving it credit for. I think it's a team that is definitely has Final Four ability and can definitely make a run for it. That being said, it didn't stop me from really wanting to pick Oklahoma State. Because when you have Cade, it's just a team that you want to pick the Final Four, especially after beating Illinois. But I just like Houston. I like them. Finally, moving to the Final Four matchups, I think I think Texas finally runs into their match where they finally aren't out-skilling a team, and I think Gonzaga takes it. Finally, over here, kind of similar. I just think Baylor has too much talent for Houston. I like Houston a lot. I think they're a Final Four team. I just like Baylor here to make the championship. And the final game, and again, the only basis on this is just feels at this point. That when you get to a championship game, unless for some reason you pick Loyola to make it, you have to just go based on feels because Baylor and Gonzaga are both really good teams, and it's very tough to make a pick. And maybe it's just my hope that there isn't another undefeated team, but I'm going to go with Baylor to win the championship, 74-71. Even though that's the same score, I'm pretty sure as the UNC Villanova game. Oh, I put that backwards. Hold on. Shh. I think Baylor takes it. I think Baylor wins the national championship. Yeah, that's it. Like I said, I can't wait to see how wrong this bracket ends up being. Because, it'll get busted after the first day. Knowing my luck, Colorado will lose to Georgetown, and Oklahoma State will lose to Liberty. Houston will probably lose to Cleveland State, and I'll just be out of a job at that point. But in all reality, I like this bracket. I think, unlike many years, the top teams are just very good, and the bottom teams aren't as good. So you aren't going to have this... I don't think we have a Cinderella run into the Sweet 16 this year, but I think the two teams to watch out for that can do it are the three teams, in my opinion. You got Michigan State, you got Oregon State, and you got Ohio. I think those three teams, over here at Ohio. Those are the 3 teams to watch out for that could make a Cinderella run. Maybe even Colgate, if their offense just carries them into some wins. But overall, I think there just isn't really a lot of top talent this year, or bottom talent. I don't know what I'm saying. But anyway, here's my final predictions. And other than that, though, if you guys did like, please leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.